So, Terminator 2. How do you make this film any better? I'm going to improve upon it. So join me on this journey. Okay, everyone, welcome back to AJ Chats episode 2, my new bi-weekly Saturday morning series where I take a subject of whatever it may be and have a little talk about it. Yes, so today I'm going to be talking about Terminator 2. Now, how can you improve upon perfection? Well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to attempt to. Now, full disclosure, this is for fun, okay? So don't get upset or anything like that. Terminator 2 is a film that is beloved by everyone. So much so that they do put it above Terminator 1 as their favourite in the franchise. And I can understand why. Me personally, I go towards Terminator 1 over Terminator 2 for certain reasons. Now, Terminator 2 is a film that I saw in the cinemas August 16th, 1991. It was released here in the UK, and after a big advertising campaign, some fantastic trailers, one at the beginning of Total Recall that I would watch over and over again, I went to see the film with some schoolmates, and it was fantastic. But it doesn't always sit right with me. There were niggling things that I had in the context of the film that didn't particularly work for me. Now, I'd grown up on the first Terminator film. I'd watched that over and over again, and I even remember my sister buying me well, she asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and I said Terminator on VHS. So she got it, and it was put under the Christmas tree, and I remember this vividly, right, because I'd asked for a certain thing, but then when the present was under the tree, it didn't feel like VHS tape. It didn't feel like VHS tape whatsoever. So I took a Stanley blade, very carefully. I sliced upon the folds of the paper. I opened it up, I took out, and it was a Christmas card box. But lo and behold, in that Christmas card box was the Terminator. So shut it back up, pushed it back in, sealed it, new sellotape, and this sort of thing. I was very young and have ways of doing things. But anyway, so this here, Terminator 2, and how to improve upon this film. Now, this might be some people might perceive this as being quite an arrogant video in how can you know, James Cameron, one of the best filmmakers ever, up until Avatar at least, how can you improve upon his films? Well, I'm going to try, because I've had 30 odd years to think about this one. Now, it's all, I'm going to delve into it. I will delve into it, but you may have to bear with me. There might be a bit of back and forth and all this sort of thing. So it's all based around the setup of the film and the initial opening scenes to the film. Now, for me, Terminator 2, it is a great film. It is, you know, it's groundbreaking. It's exciting for the most part. However, it does have a lull in the middle for me when they get to the desert and the T-1000 disappears. There's a section in the film where my mind starts to wane and go off of things. But for the most part, a very, very, very good film. I'm not going to deny upon that. Now, Terminator 2's, you know, it's very easy for me. I could take a film that's rubbish, and I could say, how can I improve this film? But here I've taken a film, like I said, that is very highly rated, that a lot of people love, and I'm going to better it. Hopefully you'll come away from this thinking, you know what, that's not too bad an idea, and that would have served the film a lot better. Now, we got to understand that the advertising campaign for this film gave away a lot. It gave away that Arnold Schwarzenegger was a good robot. And the best way to go into any film, or the way any film is designed, is that you're going in blind, but then you have an advertising campaign, right? So you have twists and turns. So imagine the Terminator. Imagine you've never seen Terminator 2 before. I need you to do that at some point in this video. You know, imagine you'd be watching it blind on the back of seeing the first Terminator film and what that gave you. Now, with that said, when you go into this film and you watch it, it's set up in such a way that you're not meant to know who the good person, the good robot is, or the bad robot, until a certain scene in the film. And that scene comes at about 28 minutes into the movie, where you have the face-off of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Rob Patrick in that hallway in the shopping centre, with John Connor in the middle of them, and John Connor doesn't know what to do. So Arnie appears at the beginning of the film. He goes into the bar, he busts up everyone in the bar, he comes out with the clothes that he wanted and takes the bike and heads off. Robert Patrick appears. Robert Patrick appears sort of under a freeway. There's a police officer being called to a disturbance, and Robert Patrick assaults that police officer, nay, kills that police officer, although you don't see him kill him. You're not meant to see him kill him. It's done in such a way that he could have just physically sort of hurt him and stolen his clothes, right? And so you're meant to be going into this thinking, okay, Arnie's the bad robot, Robert Patrick is the good robot. And like I said, you get to this scene and this flick occurs, right? And then you jump forward to about the 44-minute mark, and this is the scene in the car park where you have John Connor and Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator, and John Connor calls upon the two guys, starts screaming out for help, and those two guys come over, and then Arnie stood on one knee and all this sort of thing, and tells John Connor that I do whatever you say sort of thing. Anyway, these two guys start attacking after John Connor gives a little bit of lip, and Arnie goes to shoot one of them, but John pushes the gun away and said, why were you going to do that? He goes, I'm a Terminator, it's what I do. Now, jump back to the beginning of the film. Arnold Schwarzenegger enters this bar, goes around, scans everyone, till he finds the clothes that fits. Geezer doesn't want to give him his clothes, stubs out a cigar on his chest. Fight ensues. Now, Arnie doesn't kill one person in that bar, right? You can't have him kill anyone in that bar because he's the good Terminator, and you can't have, in the context of the story, a good Terminator killing everyone, because you won't feel sympathy for him at the end when you get that into the lava. But that aside, right, you're going into this film blind. So now imagine this, right? So you're going into the film blind. Setup is exactly the same. However, during that scene in the bar, Arnie does kill everyone. He does, right? He kills the people that attacks him, right, and walks off with their clothes, right? Fine. Robert Patrick doesn't kill the police officer, or he does kill the police officer, you don't see it as we see it, and then you come forward to the point where John Connor's between the two of them. He doesn't know which way to turn. You as an audience member, you're thinking even more so, Arnie's the bad one, Robert Patrick is the good one. But Arnie then saves John Connor, but he's killed all these people at the beginning. He's still doing what a Terminator does, right? That's what you're meant to see. Now, to the scene where they're in the car park. Yes, John Connor pushes the arm away and says, why did you do that? I'm a Terminator, it's what I do. Now this makes more sense, right? And John says, well, don't kill anyone anymore. Don't kill anyone. You see, John Connor hasn't given Arnie, even in the future, the advice or the instruction to not kill anyone. Yeah, it doesn't come until this point in the film, because Arnie says, I'm a Terminator, it's what I do. But now you go back to the beginning of the film, he doesn't terminate anyone in that bar, right? And the reason being, the primary reason, is because of the lower rating, the 15 rating that the film got. Now you give this film an 18 rating and you change that beginning scene, right? You have Arnie kill, right? The minute where Arnie steps out of the bar in the context of the version that we see, that we've been given, you have the music playing Bad to the Bone, right? and everything. Oh, this is cool. This is cool. Bad to the bone. You know, right? It works. Does it? Because that bit of music is comedic for that scene. It gives it a comedic tone. You don't want that. You want that bit of music stripped away as well, right? So you want Arnie going into that bar, asking someone to give him his clothes, his boots, and his bike, right? And you mirror that first scene from the first Terminator film where he kills these people that go to attack him. He doesn't have to kill everyone else in the bar. Everyone else runs away screaming, right? But he kills those individuals, right? Fantastic. Arnie's bad. He's a bad Terminator. Robert Patrick turns up. Weedy little human looking person. He's your good guy for the film again. So you're led to believe until that switcheroo in the corridor, right? It's all in the setup for the film, right? Not only that, the humour side of it. The humour side of the film doesn't particularly work for me, right? I wouldn't really tamper with the rest of the film, but like I said, there is a lull in the middle, a lull that could be elevated somewhat, and I'll come into that. Now, the humour in the film doesn't really sit right for me at all. I don't like it, and so I would eject some of that. I don't like Edward Furlong as an actor. Now, I'm not going into saying I'll make this a better film by recasting him. I'm not going into the realms of recasting someone. It is what it is, and you've got what you got. And Edward Furlong, but mine's in the narrative of the film. My changes would be in the complete narrative for that beginning part of the movie. That being said, let's get on to the Sarah Connor stuff, right? Now, Sarah Connor is locked up in Pescadero State Hospital or whatever it's called, right? Because she's done some stuff. She's attempted to blow up some buildings to stop the Terminator. And people think that she's mental because of these stories of the future and all this sort of thing. Now, what if she actually was insane? Right? The reason I say this, right, is because I've thought about this a lot myself. Now, imagine you yourself, right, you knew what the future held. You knew what was going to happen somewhere down the line, whether it be a big event or a little event, right? Even a personal event. Let me take it into the basis of a personal event, right? Let me suggest that you jumped forward, right? You the viewer now, think about this. You jumped forward 10 years in time and you saw yourself. Right, you saw yourself, and you know that you were rich. You'd won the lottery, Euro Millions, whatever, massive amount on the lottery. You had a big yacht, all this sort of stuff. That sort of life that you can only dream of, right? You was there for 5 seconds. You saw yourself, and you knew you'd won the lottery. You don't know when you'd won the lottery. You don't know how you've won the lottery. You don't know what you've done to win the lottery, right? Now, imagine that you've come back with that, just that snippet of information. You know nothing in context, right? That would drive you insane. That would. Because every time you stepped out the front door, it would be a case of, do I go left or do I go right? I'm going to go and buy a scratch card today. Do I buy it in that shop or do I buy it in that shop? If I buy it in that shop, is that the right place to buy it in or is that the wrong place to buy it in? I've been invited to join a syndicate. Do I join this syndicate or don't I join this syndicate? Picking numbers. Do I pick numbers? You know, and then you're sat there, you know, and say 4 years down the line, your numbers have never come up with anything, and you start saying, should I change my numbers or shan't I change my numbers? These numbers I've got now, are they the winning numbers or are these new numbers that I've got in my mind the winning numbers? It would drive you insane. The human mind cannot, would not be able to, handle time travel in that sense. Would not be able to try seeing into the future. Our minds are not made for it, and that's just fact. That comes down to simple psychology and how our minds work. You wouldn't be able to handle it. So Sarah Connor's got this information about the future. She knows this event is going to happen, right? But is what she's doing helping to prevent it or helping to make it happen? right? So imagine this sort of a thing. So not only is she fighting against the future and what's happening in the future, but she's fighting herself in her mind, and what is the right things to do, and the insanity that this draws out of you. You know, this whole middle section of the film, where the film does lull, whether you want to admit it or not, you can't deny that there's a certain point in the film the T-1000 disappears and this film turns into a lull. They're in the desert, not a lot happens, there's a little bit of humour. Now take that out and alter the writing somewhat here to concentrate on Sarah Connor's psyche and what's going on in her mind, and the fighting that she has within herself as to whether she's making the right decision or the wrong decision about stuff, and that would give you a far more complex and interesting story revolving around the Sarah Connor character within the film, other than her just being turned into a Rambo-esque kind of a character. Now, that's pretty much where I'd leave it, I'll be honest with you. My primary thinking is that opening scene for the film always bothers me, always bugs me, and it does bug me from the very first day that I saw this film, and I came away and I thought, okay, that's a good film, but there are flaws in the film. Now, like I said, the flaws within the film are simply initially based around, number one, the fact that the film had to have a reduced age rating because of its inflated budget and its need to make back the money that it made. So you reduce the age rating, you open the doors to a lot more in the way of an audience to get into the film. So that's the first thing. The second thing was in the advertising. Like I said, Arnie is not meant to. You're not meant to know that he was a good guy going into this film, but you did back in 1991 when you went into it, and that is unfortunate in itself. So there you go. That's it. Those are my ideas on how I would have improved a film that is considered perfection by many. Yeah, I hope that makes sense to you, what I've said. But like I said, I'll quickly run through it one more time. So my vision for the film. Number one, the film opens. Arnie enters into that bar and Arnie slaughters, kills in a bloody manner those people that attacked him, the same as he does with the group in the first film. Now you as an audience member, you're put on edge thinking, Arnie's back, Arnie's bad, Arnie's here to kill John Connor. He's going after John Connor this time. Robert Patrick appears. Robert Patrick, as you see in the film, you know, you don't see him kill the police officer. Okay? You don't need to see that, and then takes the unit. You know, it looks like he's taking the uniform, taking the car. Good. Right? Then the film progresses, as it does, until the scene in the corridor. This is when you as an audience member, you're like, your mind is blown, because hold on a minute, he's running away from the police officer because, you know, he's been scamming, you know, machines, getting money out, right? So that's why John Connor thinks the police are after him, because he's a little bit of a naughty boy. Then you run down to the corridor and there's Arnie, and he stops because he's heard the stories about Arnie and what he looks like and all this sort of thing. He knows that he's a Terminator there to kill him. He doesn't know which way to turn, he's frozen. At that point, as an audience member, you see Robert Patrick go shooting at the boy. Arnie shoots back at him, tells the boy, come with me, you know, get down. At which point your mind's blown. Hold on a minute. There's a reversal here that has hit me like that. But you don't get that. Yeah, and that whole middle thing. Play around with Sarah Connor's psyche and how the knowing the events of the future could properly affect you in your mind. And you've come away with a far stronger film than what we've actually got. And those are just my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. And like I said, this video is just, you know, to get things off my chest, because I like Terminator 2, I do, but I don't think it's the strongest in the franchise. I think that goes to Terminator 1. Terminator 1 would be my... Terminator 2 would be second, right? It's a fantastic film. It really is. Don't get me wrong on that. But I just think there are improvements to be made. And in my arrogant manner that some people might say I have, these are my improvements for the film. So I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments as to what you think of my ideas of attempting to better this film, and whether you would prefer to see that sort of a version of it over the version that we got, or are you happy with the humour that's in it? Are you happy with the setup and it totally works for you? Let me know down below, as well as hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button, come join the channel, give me a thumbs up, share the video, why not? It's all done for fun, obviously. But yeah, let's have a friendly conversation about it. Now, in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to be back with another discussion, but I don't know which one to do yet. I've not made my mind up. I've got things like in my mind about, are you a collector or a speculator of physical media? What goes, why the Punisher doesn't work in live action, current state of Punisher comics, the negative effect of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and all the comic book movies that we're getting today. These are just ideas that I've got. So let me know your ideas down below, what I could talk about. And I will be back in 2 weeks' time with another video of AJ Chats. This is AJ. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate the time that you've taken to watch this video. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care all, and goodbye.